I recently made a video discussing how Artorias the Abyss Walker from Dark Souls 1 fighting Starscourge Radahn from Elden Ring is actually a closer fight than some people may think. In the TikTok comment section of my video, someone wondered what it would be like to pit Messmer and the Impaler from Elden Ring against the Nameless King, two sons rejected so hard by their godly parents that they are hidden away in some faraway land, shrouded in mystery. So I'm going to put my 2 cents forward and tell you how Messmer versus the Nameless King might actually be closer than you think. Some rules I would like to establish is what versions of the two characters I'll be discussing, and usually would be sort of complicated with characters usually being in their prime prior to any of the game's events, as opposed to their worn out versions that the player fights them in the games. But with Messmer and the Nameless King, both, they are in their prime as the player fights them in the game. So, where it actually gets complicated is whether to make the decision of keeping Messmer's winged serpents, which serve as his faithful companions, as stated in his helm's item description, and also keep the base serpent form, Messmer's second phase form, in check, as stated by the winged serpent helm, though it is clear as to what extent they do that, as Marika still felt the need to give Messmer a sealing Eye of Grace, or whatever it may be called, as well as Nameless King's trusty Stormdrake, the dragon he flies in his first phase. The fight without both of their companions would essentially be base Serpent Messmer, second phase, right off the bat against the Nameless King with the power of the Stormdrake's soul, at least as stated by the Storm Curved Sword. When the great beast fell, the king claimed his soul, essentially his second phase. I have ultimately decided to include both phases of each character in this fight, which means that Messmer keeps his Serpent companions, and the Nameless King keeps his Stormdrake companion. Now, when it comes to the combat ability and experience of Messmer and the Nameless King, they seem to be equals, as Messmer himself has been in the realm of shadows for a very long time, trying to exterminate all of the Hornset using the tactic known in the real world as Blitzkrieg. In other words, overwhelming onslaughts, as stated by the spear of Messmer's soldiers. Not only this, but Messmer was also capable of stopping a rebellion spawned from 2 of his highest ranking Black Knights, as stated by their spirit ashes, Andreas, who had great strength and command over the power of the Crucible, and his son Hugh, H-U-W, a man with command of both twin blade techniques and the powers of the Crucible. Meanwhile, the Nameless King was once a dragon slayer alongside Gwyn, as stated by the Great Lightning Spear from Dark Souls 3. Gwyn, the First Lord, slew dragons with his sunlight spear, a tradition upheld by his firstborn, and the great spear he wielded. Not only this, he was the god of war, as stated by his soul in Dark Souls 3, and most likely participated in the battles of Ferosa with the name Faram, as the Faram helm has the depiction of a warrior fighting a dragon. It is in this sense that the Nameless King has experienced countless battles and gained his title as the God of War, and that Messmer is also currently in his constant state of war in the realm of shadow against the Hornset. And while their combat ability may be equal, it's more difficult to say if their magical ability is equal or if one overpowers the other. For example, Messmer's fire is strong enough to burn the Sealing Tree, which is creating the shadows that obscure Ynir Elim and its entrances. The only other time powerful flame was needed to burn a tree was, of course, the flame created from the Forge of the Giants that has enough power to burn the Erd Tree. Whether Messmer's flame and the flame of the Giants are on par in strength is debatable, but they must be in similar leagues of strength, which is important because the Fire Giant's power, according to the Burn O Flame incantation, is borrowed from the Fell God of Flame, which means that Messmer's own flame may be an equivalent strength to that of an outer god. Meanwhile, the Nameless King's Dragon Slayer's sword spear is imbued with lightning, while he himself also uses lightning miracles, in which most of them are inherited by Gwyn himself, as stated by the Dark Souls 1 variation of the Great Lightning Spear. So it sort of leaves into the question of which is stronger, lightning inherited from a god, in Dark Souls 1, or fire on the same level of strength and power as that of an outer god of flame. I personally think it could go either way in this category, but nonetheless, even if one had great fire magic than the other, or one had greater lightning magic than the other, I believe that the two biggest hurdles that Messmer and the Nameless King must face in order to defeat the other is Messmer's base serpent form and the Nameless King's Storm Drake. And this is where we're going to get a little silly here, so hang on here. The reason why Messmer's second phase is the deciding factor for this fight, and why the Nameless King's Storm Drake is the deciding factor for himself, is because imagine this. The Nameless King and Messmer are on the battlefield, but oh no, watch out, Messmer has transformed into the base serpent Messmer, right? But no need to fear, Storm Drake is here. Now Nameless King is in the sky. There's no way Messmer could fight him, right? Well, it is possible that one of his snake moves could reach both the Nameless King and his Storm Drake, or one or the other. It doesn't really matter too much here, and perhaps he could chuck a spear at him too. But at the same time, the Nameless King could throw lightning spears and fire from the Storm Drake, the probably not too effective fire against Messmer, while it's in the sky. It is in this sense that the fight has become closer than you probably think, because if Messmer successfully takes out the Storm Drake in the sky, his base serpent form will destroy the Nameless King. That's what I think personally. And well, if the Nameless King successfully managed to stay in the sky the entire fight, he will absolutely destroy Messmer with lightning spears. And yeah, that's about it. I wanted to add a fun Dark Souls 1 fact before I let you guys go. It's a real quick one. When you join Guinevere's covenant in Dark Souls 1, she gives you her ring. Imagine if somebody played this game blind back then in 2011 and read the item description. They'll be like, wait a minute. It says Guinevere left Anor Londo for some flame god. Who the hell is this guy? And then they would attack her. And then Gwendolyn would be all like, Holt, you fucking violated the law. You're finished. I don't know, I thought it was a very fun fact. Like if you want to, dislike if you want to, and subscribe if you want to. Peace.